respected Swamiji, my colleague from the Education Department, Mr. Ganesh, my young brothers and sisters, friends, it's indeed a rare privilege and honor to be amidst the leaders of the future like you people in these holy portals. It's a rare phenomenon that a great personality like Swami Vivekananda, whom I've been adoring from my childhood, ever existed in human history. In fact, Swamiji was not a personality. He was a phenomenon in human history. In fact, it will be difficult perhaps for your generation, even for my generation, to understand under what circumstances he espoused the cause of this great nation and the great human race. You know, a great civilization, perhaps when the Westerners did not know how to wear clothes, India was a great civilization. We knew pi value. We held very intense discourses in intrinsic philosophical concepts. So many things were happening in ancient India. Such a great nation, such a great civilization. What happened to that nation? What happened to that civilization? It got subjugated by a tiny country called Britain. Indians lost self-esteem. Indians became pauperized. Majority of the Indians were not having enough food to eat. There was famine everywhere. There was poverty everywhere. There was ignorance everywhere. It stirred him. In fact, I consider Swami Vivekananda to be not a simple spiritual leader. Okay? He was a great rational human being. Today, we're talking about leadership qualities. As youngsters, I would advise you to learn a few things from the life of Swami Vivekananda, the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, the great work he had done for this country in particular and for humanity in general. A few items, because it's basically a leadership issue. Okay, you're all future leaders. I would discuss, I try to correlate how he analyzed the society at his time, the problems of his particular generation, okay, and how we try to correlate a few things. And from there, let us see how we emerge as the future leaders of mankind. The most important thing, the first and foremost, Swamiji firmly believed was open-mindedness. Unlike many other religious people, he was not believing in whatever was told to him. Everything that he read, everything that was told to him, he was reflecting over it again and again. Okay? On the one side, the theoretical knowledge which he was acquiring because of his voracious reading, okay, from a very young age. On the other hand, he was going around the country, different corners of the country, seeing the problems himself. What happened actually, why these people are like this? And then he went around the world with his contemporary intellectuals. He was discussing the issues and then arrived at a solution. First, he identified the problem. Then he identified and critically analyzed the causes for the problem. Then he arrived at a solution. He understood that such a great country had become pauperized, had become an ignorant country basically because of the poverty of the masses. He was the first social reformer in medieval India, okay, to understand the direct link between economic prosperity, economic well-being, and the spiritual well-being. He was the one who established a contact between the two, analyzed. With that, he arrived at a solution that unless and until we emancipate the vast humanity of masses, the vast masses of this country from poverty, from ignorance, there is no future for this country. He arrived at that conclusion. Understanding the importance of this, then he said, on the one hand, we require temporal education, education that is required for upliftment of all these vast masses, for their day-to-day living. Okay? So, if you are farmers, you shall be taught how to do agriculture in a better manner, how to till the land in a better manner so that the land gives more yield, and people who did not have food at that time, actually there was massive famine. You would have heard of those famous famines those days actually. So the yield of the land, the agriculture would improve. And any other profession they were indulging in, actually you should modernize Indian professions with the traditional knowledge and the modern knowledge that was coming from the Western countries, because by then industrial revolution had taken place, the Renaissance, cultural Renaissance had taken place in the Western countries. So he was the one who was able to marry these two concepts. Then, courage of conviction was the most important thing that Swamiji followed. Once you believe that you are doing the right thing, there is no looking back. Okay? You have identified the cause, the right cause you have identified. Having identified the right cause, actually, see, you have the courage of conviction that what you are trying to do for the vast human beings actually living in poverty in this country, actually, you have nothing to fear. Okay? Let temporarily the Britishers subjugate us, nothing would happen. But ultimately, India would emerge as a victorious nation. He had the belief that sowed the seeds of actually freedom movement in this country. Okay? Slowly, you had seen so many national leaders had emerged, actually, see, Gandhiji and all these people. Okay? They were all products of the philosophy that was taught by Swami Vivekananda. Then, after that, what are the other issues? Today, as our friend is pointing out, actually, there is a deterioration in the value system. There was a deterioration in the value system at that particular time. There is a deterioration in the value system now. So, we shall be able to identify what are the problems that are causing trouble in the present society. Then, you shall arrive at proper solution. Not a simple solution. There is also a requirement for spiritual knowledge, the better value system. Be good to people, do good to everybody, then automatically the result will come. You shall not hanker after, okay, as leaders, if you want to become leaders, don't hanker after money, don't hanker after wealth, don't hanker after fame, don't hanker after recognition. Money and recognition, fame, etc., these shall be the byproducts of what exactly you are doing for humankind. All of us are privileged. How many of you are from English medium education? Please raise your hands. Okay. Majority of you are from English medium education. How many of you are from good public schools or private schools? Okay, not government schools. Okay, many of you. Okay. See, we are the privileged lot of the society. We are less than 1% of Indian population. Okay, majority of the Indian population do not have access to proper sanitary facilities. They live in slums in both urban and rural areas. They do not have access to proper education, whereas when compared to that, all of us are privileged lot, actually. All of us are able to study in English medium and get better jobs, etc. Think of your brethren, majority of your sisters and brothers, they are living in villages, they are living in slums, in urban areas. Think of them, how can they compete with you? It becomes very difficult. So, On the one hand, you try to excel in your studies, in the competitive examinations which you have to appear in future, and whatever profession you choose, you shall try to excel, but at the same time, please keep it in mind that you will have to help your underprivileged friends, underprivileged brothers and sisters who don't have the same access which you have, okay, to better education. If you are able to give a helping hand to the majority, the vast majority who do not have the same access, then automatically you become better human beings. Ultimately, what is life? Okay? If I join, somebody was mentioning that actually, see, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not an entrepreneur. I am a government officer. Okay? We have started this project. You would have heard of Hyderabad Metro Rail project. How many of you have heard of Hyderabad Metro Rail project? Many of you have heard.